see if it's turned on. We usually, there we go.
All right.
Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. I know not everybody's enthralled. The coffee's not here yet, so I'm going to do my best to substitute in the meantime. So I'm Andrew Collier. I'm the Director of Corporate Partnerships here at Kitchenery, a breakthrough wireless power transfer technology company focusing on the kitchen space. So what does that mean? We're bringing a paradigm shift to your kitchen space. So right now, as everybody knows, kitchen appliances, for the most part, are corded to the wall, or in some cases, unremovable. And so, at Kitchenery, we have seen that there is a large gap in innovation within the kitchen space. Cell phones, as we're all aware, have gone cordless and now smart. Headphones, the same thing, and kitchen appliances are up next. So the current problem, so if you think about kitchen appliances, not only is the cord the problem, it's frustrating, it makes you upset, it leads to meltdowns, not only in the cooking process, but on your day-to-day, right? The problem that we're solving is the kitchen counter space problem, especially in RVs, boats, high-end hotel chains, apartment complexes where you're trying to use your air fryer, blender, toaster, coffee maker, kettle, etc., but you don't have enough space on your counter to do them all at the same time. So what is the answer? Kitchenery has patented technology to make induction cooktops a hybrid functionality. So I'm sure everybody here is familiar with induction cooking one way or the other. It's sort of the wave as far as cooktops are going. Gas and electric are sort of being phased out by some states forcibly. We'll keep those opinions for later. But so what we have done is allowed that same surface to cook, charge your smartphone, or power any small appliance. So we're not talking your ovens, but anything that you would use like in and out of counter space. So some of the ones I just mentioned, air fryer, blender, toaster, kettle, etc. But then anything small you can think of, electric pressure cooker, rice cooker, the multi-function toaster ovens, anything of that nature. Typically that range is about anywhere from about 40 watts, which is what your smartphone works on, 30 to 40, to about 2,000. So we've also included in our appliances a minimalistic design. If you've seen Akshay present before, what he'll say is that a microwave only needs two functions, the light and the 30-second button. Nobody uses really anything else, right? When's the last time you hit, refresh my baked potato, or whatever, reheat my baked potato? And then the bottom part here, so 40% more energy efficient. That's compared to typical gas or electric cooktops. And the reason is because most of the heat dissipates in the atmosphere when you're transferring heat that way, versus an induction. So key team, Kitchenery's team is made up of a heavy engineering team, myself, and then a few other key members. So Akshay is our CEO and founder. You see him present here, either in St. Pete or in Ocala. Augustine is our CTO. He was an electrical engineer in the aerospace industry for 10 years. Myself, I come from an IoT software background. I'm sure you've seen like Shark Ninja's robot vacuums, Keurig smart coffee makers. My former company did all of that. And then a few key members, not only fellow UT students that you guys might recognize, but some advisors along the board, including my man Josh Ray, but then also Chris, Colin, Lowell, and Ben. And then another key part of our team here is our advisors. For those of you who don't know, we are hosted at the University of Tampa Spartan Incubator. It is an amazing program. If you're not familiar with it, definitely, again, give it my man Josh or anybody else involved. It is top tier within the community to not only be able to network, but resources, not only financial, but PR, legal, media, marketing, the list goes on and on. And so you can see some of the key members of the community here. I'll just highlight a few. So Dr. Rebecca White is the executive director, I believe, at the center. She was on the board of Marine Max, and she helps us, not only with introductions within the marine industry, but with a lot more things than that. Spiros Margetis is our fractional CFO, and then Tom Cardy, who I also want to call out, is on the board of Baycare, which everybody in the Tampa Bay area is familiar with Baycare. So the next question might be, well, how do you make money? Multiple ways. So at its core, Kitchenery is a wireless power transfer technology company. So that's a lot of words for we're going to make everything that you have around you, all devices, laptops, washers, dryers, EVs eventually, completely cordless. So the primary business model is selling, obviously, our appliances, but there's reoccurring hardware revenue. There's the SaaS model for the IoT side, so you collect curated data for the device, so you know who, what, when, where is using it and why. And then also integrating our services through other appliance manufacturers, the Miele's, the Bosch's, the multi-billion-dollar MNCs of the world. Because we are very aware that wireless power transfer technology is not new, but it is something that is up and coming, and there's a lot of opportunity not only in giving engineering services, for a fee, but also selling our own products and allowing that to be in the appliance ecosystem. So here's what I like to say my favorite slide, seeing the product. And somebody's going to ask me this today. Well, can we see it work? Yes, and we will get there, I promise. But these are the 5 appliances that I mentioned that we're going to start with. So we have the toaster, the blender, the kettle/coffee maker, the air fryer, and the electric pressure cooker, which is also known as Instant Pot. One thing I did not mention formally, the former CEO of Instant Pot is on our board. Very nice connection to have. And then this is the power pad. So we have 2 designs currently. One, a movable version so that you maybe cook outside, or maybe you cook on the go. And then we have also one that's directly integrated in the countertop seamlessly. So I'm sure you've seen integrations of all these types with any other type of cooktop, very similar. Target market segments. So as I mentioned before, we are focusing on the RV and the boat space. Why? It's the premium segment. These are the people that have money to spend, and they have money to spend on toys, for lack of a better term. Our suite of appliances is pricier, is the way I would put it, than traditional, but once we get to economies of scale, we'll be able to bring that cost down so that it comes out at your Target or Best Buy to your everyday consumer, Sonoma, you name it. So we've actually been at the RV show here in Tampa a couple weeks ago. We were at the boat show in Miami just after that, and then we're starting to move into the hospitality industry, retirement, modular home. And then you can see in the corner there, the consumer kitchen is eventually where we want to go to, direct to consumer. But to get there, if you think about the Tesla model, right? They came out with the Roadster for the premium segment, and they came out on the Model S, and then they came out on the Model 3, which is your standard everyday type car. So a couple things I want to mention here. So this is some of the organizations that we partnered with. We actually won the Techstars competition last February. It was actually run by Stanley Black & Decker, so they're one of our institutional funders that has been behind us to develop this technology, and we have ongoing conversations not only with Techstars but Stanley Black & Decker to get introduced to their overseas manufacturing partners, to get their technical guidance and expertise, to work with them on their business model and how they would engage with a company like ours. And then also, we believe in working with the community. Currently, we are in a community fundraising round, and I'll get there in a second. But PD Tampa Bay is one organization that we've been close with, also the Florida Venture Forum. And this is actually a picture of us at the Synapse Summit. I'm not sure how many of you were there. I know Shane was there, but just some of the members of our team doing some active community outreach. So I know I'm coming up on my time here. So we believe that this is cooking 4.0, the freedom to cook without the use of cords, to move your appliances where you want to, how you want to be able to multi-function cook and power your appliances on the same surface so they can move more efficiently within your kitchen, the heart of the home. And as I mentioned earlier, we are currently in a capital campaign round in the community for several reasons. One, we believe the community is going to be our first customers in a lot of ways, right? You are the people that go out there, you buy boats, you buy airplanes, you know us, you see us, you come talk to us, you work in the same buildings that we do. And so our entire deck that you've seen today, plus some additional information, is right here at the QR code. So if you want to take out your phones, go ahead and scan the link. You can see through. At the bottom of that page is actually a product demo where you can see our CTO, Augustine, powering the blender at the Techstars competition. So that's where you see it in person. We will do some more product demos later this year, probably one here, I'd imagine. Yeah, that's the long and short of it. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them for you.
All right. Excellent. One thing we always like to lead with is what can we as a community do for you?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, silly me. So let's just knock out the obvious things. Scan our QR code. Share posts. I think that's severely underrated, and the reason why is because I don't know who you know. I know all of you now, and I know who you might know through the entrepreneurship community, but I don't know if your cousin has a boat, or your dad has an RV, or your brother's sister's mother is in the appliance business, something like that. Intros are amazing. I think, again, back to the UTN Collaborative Center, I have met more interesting people there in a week than I feel like I did in a lifetime before.
Yeah, excellent. Questions?
Absolutely.
Can you integrate it in granite countertops?
Yes, so the only type of material that you can't integrate it with is ferrous metal. And that's due to the limitations of physics and induction.
I think when you started, you said it was solving a space problem, but it seems to be solving a power problem. Just wondering.
2 in 1. So not only are the appliances more efficient, they're smaller to fit in smaller like the cabinet space. So like if you've been in an RV or boat, you know that they're smaller. Because the power pack can be integrated directly on this surface, when you're trying to fit a full-size kitchen on the back of your car or on the back of your boat, you can just think about it like a bookshelf, right? You pull your appliance out of the cabinet, put it on there, do what you need to do. Maybe you're cooking some eggs on the same surface, put it right back in. So if you've ever been to a galley or like a yacht RV, the kitchen counter space is about the size of this table. Yes, sir.
Is it patent pending?
Patent pending. So we have 2 patent pending, one on smart frequency modulation, which gives us the ability to deliver the exact amount of power in real time depending on the user need. So like imagine putting your phone on there and you only need 30 watts. Well, then you go up to your blender and you put it immediately on high. Well, now you need 1200. That has to happen or people aren't going to use it. And then the other one we have is the integration of wireless power transfer with IoT. That patent is a little bit more broad because the process, although is happening worldwide right now, is very new. There's a lot of wireless power transfer devices, there's a lot of IoT devices, not a lot of people do both.
If I can make a suggestion as well, I think this is great because I'm the guy that's my wife makes me cook my fish outside. Unplug it and get the extension cord. So this is great, but another avenue I think as well is contacting organizations like Camping World.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because, they're outside, they're all,
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. We have a series of channel partners. One of our largest is called Industrial Finishes, and they actually have offices in the factories of every major RV OEM in the country. So what happens is like, let's say you're out on the highway, your RV gets a ding, or like the paint comes off, whatever. You take it in there, they refinish the whole RV, but they also sell aftermarket services. So they could be like, oh, well, if you want the cool new wireless kitchen, I'm gonna need 5,000. Sir.
What would you say the biggest pushback you'd be getting when trying to get this out in the market?
Good question. So it's a really interesting dynamic, and I think this Wefunder will make a lot more sense once you understand the story. So a lot of our advisors have been telling us just license the tech out to a lot of the big appliance companies. So within the RV and the boat space, it's like Kenyon, Miele, Bosch, they're like the 3 big I mentioned, Wolf, Sub-Zero, also in there. They want to do that, but they want us to pay for it to integrate that. Now, let's flip the equation a little bit. RV and boats typically do not supply small appliances to their customers. Whenever you go on a boat or a yacht or whatever, you're bringing your Mr. Coffee, your KitchenAid, and whatever else. So to get the OEMs to think like, oh, you can not only put in the oven and the fridge, but you can also supply the toaster, blender, coffee maker, etc. Now you have an extra line item. That's the conversation we're in currently. And we're in pretty deep in those conversations, and the thinking is switching. But then you gotta think about service. Then you gotta think about like who's getting that call on Sunday when the blender's not working. And just a lot of things like that. So the way that we're thinking about it is we're gonna put this tech out into the marketplace, in the RV, like showrooms, etc. like that. All the other big companies are gonna see it, see that it works, have the proof of concept, and then they're gonna come to us and say, okay, we wanna do this now. Even thinking back to like smartphones, right? Smartphones were around way before the iPhone was around, right? I mean, BlackBerrys came out in '92, give or take, but it was the only increase in the user experience, simplicity, size, ease of use, but it was also them saying, okay, this new app-based phone that's for everybody is going to work, and then every other phone manufacturer was like, well, I guess we have to go that way now. No more scroll balls and things like that. What else we got? No tech questions? Thank God.
I don't have tech questions. Oh,
Anything in
yes.
here?
Yeah. What does induction look like in the home? Like, is America slowly adopting? I know it's more prevalent in Europe and people are really happy with the idea, but is it kind of slowly getting into?
So, I know we're all in Florida, so let's keep it civil. So like Florida or California is banning new gas stoves because of fears of pollution, maintenance, things, etc. And so like that would be one example. The second example I would give is like in the new soccer truck that's about to drop, they have induction cooktops with the camping modification right in the back. So for me personally, I think the first aspect that I'm seeing is like safety. Like nobody wants to cook where there could possibly be a fire in a small space. Like that's just not going to occur anymore. Not that it happens that often, but it happens enough that people get scared. So anything that's on the move, you're going induction first. Induction cooktops in the home are definitely coming, but it's more in new builds. And so one of our target segments is like reaching out to builders, especially at the high rises around here, and saying like, hey, wouldn't you rather have this? You don't have to worry about fire. Your insurance costs come down, et cetera, et cetera. It's a good question. Sir?
Two questions. One, how do you power the induction platform?
So that is currently plugged in. So that is under your countertop though, so you won't see it. So then you get to limit the outlet spaces around you because all of your power is coming from the cooktop now. And so you can make it zone, or you can make the whole surface, so you can just wherever you want.
Okay.
Another
The
question?
second question
Yeah.
is, have you looked at the trucking industry as well?
Oh, for like the backs, the 18-wheelers?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I brought that up to my CEO recently, and he was not aware that like overnighters in the back of trailers were like a thing. And I was like, I come from truck country. I was like, I got you. Like, don't worry. Yes, ma'am.
I'm naive about this induction, so
Okay.
I have, like most Americans, we don't, like, he's saying Europe is on board, but
Yeah.
like I have a tea kettle, you know, an electric tea kettle, and I love it because it's not hot. Like I can pick it up off of and move it, and it's not hot.
Yeah.
Is induction hot once you remove
No.
the item? See
No,
that?
yeah, that's
That's
a
cool.
key driver there.
Yeah.
And so, all right, here's something that I think a lot of you might not have thought of, but something that we've got to work on as a company. We have to educate the consumer. Why? Because when you're a kid, they teach you not to put your hand on the cooktop, and they tell you not to put your electronics on the cooktop. Why? It's going to burn it. Well, now that's getting 180. Oh, it's okay. How do you tell a 6-year-old, oh, this cooktop's okay, but this cooktop's not okay? Eventually that'll change, right? We still say hang up the phone. None of you hang up your phones today. You do hit the red button, right? So,
2 questions. Are these going to work on existing countertops that people have in their houses, or does it have to have your specific pad?
so you could retrofit a current induction cooktop with our technology. I don't see that happening. It's just not realistic because the amount of like labor that would go into it, just not. I mean, you can get a cooktop for probably less than $1,500, and if you're willing to spend that on a retrofit, might as well just buy a new one. Yeah. And like, you know, again, so I give you a little bit of the go-to-market strategy just so everybody can be familiar. These numbers are not final, but with our suite of 5 appliances and our cooktop, we're looking to go to market for retail about $5,000, like I was saying earlier. And again, we can reduce that cost by about 2/3 coming down once we get to scale. But you know, for someone buying $1 million boat, an extra $5,000 is not changing the bottom line. And so I understand that this is like, I'm marketing you the Gucci of kitchen appliances. Everyone's like, well, you know, I shop at Kohl's or wherever. I get that, but it'll be at Kohl's soon.
Go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, same question.
You can come.
How are you going to solve the like inaccuracy problem? Like if your induction coil is here and you put your phone slightly off of it.
So there's about a 20 degrees of freedom around the center of the pad. So that solves most of it. So like typically on a smaller pad, right, you gotta find that sweet spot like that. But if it's like this whole surface, you kinda, and then also it mag locks in. So then if you put it over here, then it's just like, whoop, it's gonna stay where you want it to go. Yeah, and then you can also put the pad on what's called a gimbal. Essentially, it's like a gyroscope in 3 dimensions so that it keeps it level when you're on a boat.
Oh, that'd be good for boats.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. The boat industry said that. They're like, you're gonna need to put this on a gimbal. And we're like, okay, we'll put it on the gimbal. Like,
His camera has one as an example.
Yeah, exactly.
oh, yeah, perfect example. Sir.
This is kind of off the cuff, but about 2 or 3 years ago, there was a geeky article about doing induction charging for the whole house.
Yeah.
Is that going to fit into your plans?
So what I think you're referring to is like long-range power transfer. Yeah. So ours is focused on short-range, high-power applications. Typically, the longer-range stuff is low-power applications, and the biggest technical challenge there is going through objects. It's easy to send power long-range, but it's not so easy to send it through a wall. So, especially a concrete wall or a lead wall, for that matter. That's what I've seen. So just to give you an example of the industry space right now, it's called Wireless Power Consortium. They're the ones that set the chief standard for the smartphone pads so that we could go between and interoperability. In the kitchen space, it's called the Key Cordless protocol, which is not out yet, but that's what they're trying to push. And so typically within the industry space, this is how this works. In former life, within the IoT space, the protocol is called Matter. And so that's going to allow your Alexa to talk to your Google Home, to talk to your Siri, to talk to your Apple HomeKit, to talk to whatever device you want. And so one app to control them all as far as IoT is concerned, and then one protocol to power them all as far as wireless power transfer is concerned. Student questions? Have you guys been up to the center?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
How is it on the power level?
More efficient. Because when you're, not only do they use less, because our appliances are smaller, but you're not wasting any of the heat atmosphere. So if you ever use an induction cooktop, you can boil a regular pot of water on like a gas or electric, and I would say somewhere between 3 and 5 minutes. If you go higher, a little less, you can do ours in about, I would say top end is 90 seconds. I would say low end is about 45. So, because, not to get into a physics lesson here, but like the dipoles in the pan is how the electricity goes through, and so the friction causes heat to be direct. We can get into all that fun stuff at some point. I'll let that stuff to the engineers. I'm pretty good, but I'm not fantastic. Yes, sir.
Again, I like the product. My
Thank you.
question to that is, in your benchmarking and other competition, who's your competition in this space?
Okay, so let's talk about